Hey everybody, it's Alan Brochstein coming to you from Houston, Texas to talk about cannabis stocks like I do every week. I work for new Cannabis Ventures and I run 420 Investor at Seeking Alpha if you want to learn more. So I have in the summary of this a link to the article that I write every Friday night and that I shared yesterday, and it's called 420 Investor Review of the Week ending 9/22. And it was a tough week. And if you see a smile on my face, I'm not short cannabis stocks, but I have been warning the world that this run-up is a little ahead of itself. Now, if you want to know, but is this a good time to buy? Maybe, maybe not. I've told both sides of that story, and I have some very strong views about what people should be buying and what they should be selling. So this week we got news out of two companies. One was an MSO and the other a Canadian LP that wants to be an MSO, and they both sold stock. And I think that set off a big warning flag for investors. Uh-oh. And I wasn't surprised that either of these companies did it, and there are going to be more. If you want to know more about that, read the new Cannabis Ventures newsletter, which will be published tomorrow morning. And I will explain in there my perspective. So I did share, also this week, the Canadian cannabis sales came out, and they were really strong in June. For July, yeah, we fell sequentially on a per day basis, but we rose sequentially, and better, we rose strongly from a year ago. The Canadian market is coming back, and it's not, the numbers aren't so great that people are gonna, I gotta own that, but it is coming back. And I follow very closely the number of licenses, and they've been coming down. Canada is getting these people out. Why are people getting out? They don't want to run. They wanted a license and it wasn't profitable. They don't want the license anymore. And there's been a big backup. This week, the number fell substantially. It's still very high. And I don't think you can just buy any Canadian LP and do well. But in my model portfolio that I share with my subscribers at 420 Investor, I have now 3 Canadian LPs, and 2 of them are really cheap, but all 3 of them trade below tangible book. 2 of them have outside investors and on their balance sheet right now have a ton of cash and little or no debt. The other one doesn't have that much debt, and I like all of these. Does that mean you can, like I said, it doesn't mean that you can just buy any Canadian LP. And what do I mean by that? Well, I don't like the Tilray brand stock. That's not a big secret. I did write about that for the public at Seeking Alpha. And again, in the summary of this video, you can get a link to that. And if you ever want to keep up with what I'm writing about, subscribe to me, follow me at Seeking Alpha. And the cost is $0. You don't have to pay a penny to follow me. And you'll get alerted every time I write an article, which, by the way, is every single week I write something. They're not all positive. They're not all negative. And I don't really strategize. I have a thought and I share it. That's it. And my goal is not to run up my number of subscribers immediately. My goal is to do so over the long term by establishing myself as a trusted expert in the space. And that's what I do. So I follow 26 companies closely on my focus list at 420 Investor. And this week there was news on, it looks like 8. And the first was Columbia Care, formerly known as, now Cannabis, the Cannabis company. And they sold $25 million of stock early in the week. And then right after that, minutes later, Canopy Growth told the world that we're going to sell up to 50 million and actually sold 25 million. And both of those deals had warrants. And so they sold stock and they have warrants. I actually reached out to Nick Vita and had an exchange with them. I think they were brilliant to do that. Do I own it at all in my model portfolios? No. I did. I owned it. It tripled. They sold the stock triple the low where I had loaded up. I sold it too early. But anyway, I think that was a good move. Canopy Growth, I've been very public about, could be headed to bankruptcy. And I continue to think that it may. I'm not predicting that it will. And there are other sides of that. I get it. But they needed to raise money. They need to raise more. And I think, like I said earlier, the big takeaway is, who's next? I don't want to say Curaleaf, but they may be. I've written about them before. I don't know what I'm going to write about this weekend, but I have told my subscribers, and I've told the world, bad balance sheet with a current ratio of 0.9 times, which means their near-term liabilities are bigger than their near-term assets. And those assets include inventory, by the way, which is not that easy to get 100% conversion on. So they have a big cash shortage, but worse, they have a lot of debt. Now, at least it's not due tomorrow, but they have a lot of debt, the most of any of the MSOs. And worse, they have negative tangible equity. Now, this is not news. If you follow me, I've talked about this. What's been weird is how the valuation of Curaleaf is so high. So you just got a free update. I'm negative on Curaleaf. So as I said, Canopy Growth raised 25 million. They're trying to do more. And both of these offerings, Cannabis and Canopy Growth, were below the market, but they were both way above the recent lows. And the next one is Cresco. They made a move in Florida to introduce their California brands. And the prior week, they announced another store opening. They've got, I think, 33 stores, I think, there. All right. The next one's Kronos Group, and they relaunched Peace Naturals in Germany. Woo! I don't think that matters that much right away. MAPS partnered with Abstracts. I don't think this is a big deal, but the goal of their partnership is to boost education about cannabis research and science. Planet 13 changed their symbol, and I got some extra stuff. I put last week's news in there too. This week, they converted their symbol from PLNHF to PLNH. SHF Holdings, Safe Harbor, launched a new line of credit products. And then finally, Trulieve repurchased some debt at a big discount. And they also opened their 5th dispensary in Georgia. That's it for the news. In terms of the market performance, like I said, it was a really tough week. We fell 16.1%. What I mean by that is the Global Cannabis Stock Index at New Cannabis Ventures publishes, it's updated quarterly, and on my agenda today is to do the Q4 rebalancing. And there may be some changes in both the rules and the constituents. We'll see. And I'll share that publicly in early October. I'll share it with my subscribers today. So we fell 16.1%, which is huge, but wow, have we gone up a lot. We're still up quarter to date by a little, but year to date, I'm looking for that number. We're down 4% year to date. In the S&P 500, is up about 12.8%. So it's back to the way it was, just not as bad. Stocks up, our stocks down, but less. And then I run some model portfolios, and I'm very happy to say that my job, I'm winning. Not by a lot, not enough to brag about, but wow, was it tough. And beat the global cannabis stock index, where I try to what? Beat the global cannabis stock index, is now down 3.6% year to date. And that's less than the index of down 4. Like I said, I'm not bragging about that. I've always done better. I've admitted when I was doing worse on this video, it's not fun. And I'm not having fun yet either. But I'm always trying to give my subscribers the best stocks to own. I'm allowed to have 20% cash, and I did go to that a few times. I have 0.5% right now. I'm fully invested. Do I think cannabis stocks are going to go up here? Probably not. Do I like my cannabis stocks a lot better than the index? Yes. And then I run another model portfolio. It's still behind. And I just started running this at year, and it's called Beat the American Cannabis Operator Index model portfolio. And I'm also trying to beat MSOS, and honestly, I'm not. I think I will. And I have only 4 stocks in there, and 3 of them, they're very large holdings. They're right at the max, 25%. And then 1 is a teeny tiny name. It hasn't moved that much, and I think it could be a 0, but it could be a hero too. I've been keeping my subscribers up to date. So usually I conclude this with a discussion of the week ahead, but there's nothing on the calendar. This is Yom Kippur on Monday. So if you celebrate that, have a good Yom Kippur. And it's also quarter end. Take care, everybody.